Have you ever stopped to think about how the words you choose can shape your relationships and impact your own well-being? It's amazing how a single phrase can either build bridges or create chasms between people. In today's video, we're diving into a crucial aspect of mindful living, the art of mindful speech. In Buddhism, words are not just sounds, they carry immense power. Our speech can influence our karma and the way we interact with the world. By embracing the principles of right speech, we can cultivate more harmonious and respectful relationships. So, what are the 5 things you should never say to anyone? Join me as we explore these harmful phrases through the lens of Buddhist wisdom and learn how to communicate with greater kindness and understanding. Let's get started. Number 1. You're stupid. You're stupid is one of the most hurtful things you can say to someone. This phrase not only undermines the person's self-esteem, but also dismisses their thoughts and feelings. Such a statement can have a long-lasting negative impact, causing the person to feel devalued and disrespected. When we use this kind of language, we are essentially creating negative karma by generating ill will and damaging relationships. The energy of such words often circles back to us, manifesting in our own interactions and how we are perceived by others. From a Buddhist perspective, right speech is a fundamental aspect of ethical conduct. This principle emphasizes the need for speech that is truthful, beneficial, and kind. By saying something like, "You're stupid," we are clearly failing to adhere to these guidelines. Buddhism teaches that our words should uplift and encourage rather than belittle and hurt. When we speak with the intention of causing harm, we not only disrupt the peace of others, but also disrupt our own inner tranquility. To align our speech with Buddhist values, it's essential to practice empathy and patience. Instead of resorting to derogatory remarks, try to understand the underlying issue or mistake and address it constructively. For example, if someone makes an error, offer guidance and support rather than criticism. This approach fosters a more positive environment and helps maintain healthy relationships. A more compassionate way to handle such situations is to focus on the behavior rather than attacking the person's character. You might say, "I think there's a misunderstanding here," or "Let's work together to solve this problem." By approaching the issue with kindness and respect, you not only help the other person grow, but also contribute to a more harmonious interaction. In summary, avoiding phrases like "you're stupid" and instead embracing a more empathetic and supportive approach can significantly enhance our relationships and personal growth. By practicing mindful speech, we contribute to a more compassionate world and create positive karma for ourselves. Let's remember that our words have the power to build up or tear down, so let's choose to build. Number 2. I told you so. "I told you so" might seem like a harmless comment, but it can actually be quite damaging. This phrase not only belittles the person who made a mistake, but also disrupts the harmony in relationships. It carries an air of superiority and reinforces feelings of inadequacy. When someone is already struggling with a mistake or a problem, hearing this phrase only adds to their frustration and embarrassment, often making them feel worse about the situation. The focus shifts from finding a solution to feeling reprimanded, which is counterproductive. In Buddhism, humility and empathy are crucial aspects of our interactions with others. The concept of right speech encourages us to communicate in ways that promote understanding and compassion rather than arrogance or superiority. By saying, "I told you so," we are failing to practice humility and instead reinforcing a hierarchical dynamic. Buddhism teaches that every individual is on their own journey of learning and growth, and it is important to approach others with patience and understanding rather than judgment. A more Buddhist approach to addressing mistakes is to offer support and constructive feedback without belittling the other person. Instead of highlighting their errors with, "I told you so," Consider phrases like, "I understand that this was challenging. How can I help you move forward?" This approach not only fosters a supportive atmosphere, but also encourages problem-solving and growth. Supporting others through their mistakes involves active listening and offering constructive advice in a respectful manner. For example, if someone has made an error, you might say, "Let's review what happened together and see how we can improve." This not only helps resolve the issue, but also builds trust and strengthens your relationship. By focusing on collaborative solutions, you contribute to a more positive and encouraging environment. In summary, replacing "I told you so" with supportive and empathetic communication can transform the way we interact with others. By practicing patience and understanding, we create a more harmonious and constructive atmosphere, which is aligned with Buddhist values. Let's strive to be a source of encouragement rather than criticism, and support each other in our journeys of growth and learning. Number 3, you always. You always is a phrase that can be particularly damaging in conversations. When we use absolutes like always, we create a sweeping generalization that can lead to unnecessary conflict and resentment. For example, saying, "You always interrupt me," makes it seem as though the other person's behavior is a constant issue, which can provoke defensiveness and escalate the situation. This approach not only fails to address the specific issue at hand, but also risks alienating the other person by painting them with a broad negative brush. In Buddhism, the principle of non-judgment plays a significant role in our interactions. Buddhism teaches that we should avoid forming fixed judgments about others and instead approach each situation with an open and balanced perspective. By using phrases like, "You always," we are essentially making blanket statements that can distort the reality of the situation and unfairly judge the other person's character. Buddhism encourages us to see others as they truly are, without attaching labels or assumptions. A more mindful approach is to focus on specific behaviors rather than making generalizations. Instead of saying, "You always forget to do this," try addressing the particular instance with something like, "I noticed that this task wasn't completed today. Is there a way we can ensure it gets done in the future?" This method avoids the pitfalls of absolutes and allows for a more constructive conversation, focusing on the behavior rather than the person's overall character. By addressing specific actions and offering constructive feedback, you foster a more positive and collaborative dialogue. This approach helps the other person understand the issue without feeling unfairly judged or attacked. For example, when you missed the deadline yesterday, it caused some delays. Can we discuss how to prevent this in the future? This phrasing keeps the focus on problem solving and encourages mutual respect and understanding. In conclusion, avoiding absolute phrases like "you always" and instead focusing on specific behaviors can lead to more effective and harmonious interactions. By practicing non-judgment and approaching each situation with a balanced perspective, we align our communication with Buddhist principles and contribute to more constructive and respectful relationships. Let's strive to address issues with precision and compassion, fostering a more positive environment for everyone involved. Number 4, I hate you. "I hate you" is an incredibly destructive phrase that can have profound negative effects on both the speaker and the listener. Expressing hatred not only damages the relationship, but also creates a toxic environment filled with animosity and resentment. When we use such strong and harmful language, it can deeply wound others, leading to a breakdown in communication and trust. Furthermore, holding on to and expressing hatred can also harm the speaker, fostering inner turmoil and perpetuating negative feelings that can affect their own well-being and relationships. In Buddhism, the practice of loving kindness, or metta, is central to fostering compassionate and harmonious interactions. Buddhism teaches us to cultivate feelings of goodwill and compassion towards all beings, even those with whom we may have conflicts. Expressing hatred goes against the teachings of metta and undermines the goal of promoting peace and understanding. Instead of harboring negative emotions, Buddhism encourages us to approach others with an open heart and a desire for mutual respect and reconciliation. To align with Buddhist principles, it is more constructive to address conflicts and dissatisfaction with a focus on resolution and maintaining respect. Instead of saying, "I hate you," try to express your feelings in a way that seeks to understand and resolve the issue. For example, you could say, "I'm really upset about what happened, and I'd like to talk about how we can address it." This approach helps to keep the conversation focused on finding solutions rather than fueling further conflict. When dealing with conflicts, it's important to communicate with empathy and a willingness to listen. By addressing specific issues calmly and respectfully, you create space for constructive dialogue and mutual understanding. For instance, expressing your concerns with phrases like, "I felt hurt when this happened. Can we discuss how to prevent this in the future?" allows for an open and respectful exchange, which is more likely to lead to positive outcomes. In summary, replacing expressions of hatred with respectful and solution-oriented communication aligns with Buddhist teachings on compassion and loving kindness. By fostering a more understanding and empathetic approach, we contribute to healthier relationships and our own personal peace. Let's aim to address conflicts with a focus on resolution and respect, creating a more harmonious and supportive environment for everyone involved. Number 5. You're just like your negative trait. "You're just like your negative trait" is a comment that can deeply hurt and alienate others. By labeling someone with a negative trait, you not only stereotype them, but also diminish their entire character to a single, unfavorable aspect. This kind of statement can be incredibly damaging as it reinforces negative self-perceptions and prevents individuals from feeling valued and understood. Instead of addressing specific behaviors, this comment creates a generalized and often unfair judgment of the person, making it harder to resolve the underlying issue constructively. In Buddhism, the concept of non-attachment to fixed identities is crucial. Buddhism teaches us to see beyond the surface and recognize that every individual is more than their behaviors or mistakes. By focusing on fixed traits, we fail to acknowledge the inherent goodness and potential for growth in others. Buddhism encourages us to approach people with a mindset that recognizes their full humanity, rather than reducing them to negative labels. This perspective fosters compassion and a deeper understanding of each person's journey. A more mindful approach is to address specific behaviors while still acknowledging the person's overall worth. Instead of saying, "You're just like your negative trait," try focusing on the particular action or behavior that needs to be addressed. For instance, you might say, "I noticed that you acted in a way that seemed describe the behavior. Let's discuss how we can handle this differently next time." This approach addresses the issue at hand without devaluing the person's character. By separating behaviors from personal identity, we can engage in more productive and compassionate dialogues. Acknowledging someone's worth while discussing specific actions helps maintain respect and encourages positive change. For example, saying, "I know you have a lot of strengths, but this particular behavior is causing some issues. How can we work on this together?" allows for a constructive conversation that focuses on improvement rather than judgment. In conclusion, avoiding comments that label or stereotype others and instead addressing specific behaviors can lead to more positive and respectful interactions. By embracing the Buddhist principles of non-attachment and recognizing the inherent goodness in everyone, we foster a more understanding and supportive environment. Let's strive to communicate with empathy and respect, focusing on constructive feedback and maintaining the dignity of those we interact with. Conclusion. In conclusion, the words we choose have the power to build or break relationships, and mindful communication is key to fostering respect and understanding. By avoiding harmful phrases like, "You're stupid," "I told you so," "You always," "I hate you," and "You're just like your negative trait," we align our speech with the principles of compassion and empathy taught in Buddhism. Let's commit to speaking with kindness, addressing behaviors without judgment, and creating a more harmonious and supportive environment for everyone. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe for more insights on mindful living.